Hi there, I'm Penny Hunt, and this is Penny Heart to Heart. I want to talk to you today a little bit about my newest writing, and it's called Will This Make Me a Better Person? And I want to tell you about the writing and how it came to be, as I always do in these Penny Heart to Hearts. I was traveling last week with my daughter, and we were on a work trip for her. And I was along because she had her twin sons with her. So when she would work, I got to hang out with my grandkids. It doesn't get better than that. So that's what I was doing. And we had stopped at this little town, and we went to a store, and she had told the boys they could pick something to buy. And that was fun, as you can imagine, with two 7-year-olds in a store. And one of them had picked a toy that he thought he couldn't live without. And I kind of stood back, as I try to do as grandma and not mom, which is the beauty of being a grandmother. You don't have to be the disciplinarian or make the decisions. You just watch. And so he wanted this toy. And I believe it was a little dinosaur that it came in a little teeny tiny package. And the package said if you put it in water and waited like 48 hours, it would grow to be 600 times its size. Now, I'm trying to imagine this. I'm trying to imagine if this would really work, and it seems they had had experience with this kind of thing before and knew it did work, and so he was adamant that he wanted this dinosaur. Well, Mom, my daughter, didn't think that was quite the choice she wanted him to make. And so he was just getting ready. His tears were welling up in his eyes, and you could see it was starting to happen. The little boy tantrum about what he wanted and the disagreement he was going to have with his mom. And he was just getting ready, and he was saying, but this is what I want. And she said the magic words. She said, will having this toy make you a better person? Well, I heard that myself, and I had to stop and think for a minute, because I thought, what is she talking about? That is not going to work with a 7-year-old. This is the best toy in the universe. You can see it very clearly. He was making it very clear. This was the best toy ever. And he wanted it, and he wanted it right now. And I'm thinking, oh, that's a good try, honey, but that is not going to work. Well, I watched it work. My grandson stopped, and he looked at the toy that he had in his hand, and then he said, oh, I guess not. Just like that. And I thought, okay, she's used this before. They know this routine. And I was new to this. I thought this wouldn't work with me probably. I don't know. So anyway, we put the toy back. We continued to look, and he ended up with a pair of binoculars. Now, they weren't just any binoculars. They looked like sharks. They had shark fins on them. So they were super cool $9 binoculars. But that's what he ended up with. And my grandson didn't take these off from around his neck for the next 3 days. And every time you looked at him, he was looking at the world through the binoculars and seeing things that he had never seen before and looking at the world differently. This whole situation fascinated me because, not that I hadn't realized before that my daughter is brilliant, but I thought she does brilliant parenting. And I started to think about all the years that my daughter has been in my life. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday. She turned 39. And last week, as we keep getting more and more national days, I guess last week there was a day that was National Daughters Day. So when I put those two things together, I thought, of course I have to write about my daughter this week and write about what happened and how she did this with my grandson in such a brilliant way. And I started to think about being pregnant with her. I was pregnant 4 times in my life. With 3 boys and a girl. One boy I lost in between my 2 oldest ones in pregnancy, and my youngest son I lost when he was 22. So I have my oldest son and my daughter, But she grew up most of her growing up years, all of her growing up years, as the middle child between two boys. And she navigated that with grace. And most of the time, she kept the two boys in line. I also remembered that being pregnant with her was different, that I felt great being pregnant with her. I wasn't sick. And she really taught me, even before she was born, and back then we didn't know if we were having girls or boys. I just knew I was going to have a baby. But she taught me how to enjoy pregnancy and how to appreciate the miracle of growing a human inside your body. And then as she grew up and she navigated being the middle child and keeping her brothers in line, and then I watched her get her degree and move away, which was disheartening, and I was very proud at the same time. She moved away for a great job and ended up coming back. And I knew at the time it wasn't because she couldn't handle the job or couldn't handle being away. Maybe it was more that she thought Mom couldn't handle her being away. And so she came back, and I was joyous about that. I saw her go through her own first pregnancy, and I remember being there in the moment she handed me that little boy, my grandson, and seeing my daughter become a mom, and that feeling of pride and joy. And then 3 years later, she was pregnant with twins, and I was scared and worried for her. She's a tiny, tiny little thing, and her little body carried twin boys, and she struggled through gestational diabetes and the discomfort of twins and shingles, and being put on bed rest, and where she would pretty much sit in a lazy boy chair all day long. And then the boys came 6.5 weeks early and were sent directly to a children's hospital in Denver. And less than 12 hours, I think, she was in my car, and I was driving her to the children's hospital because she refused to stay in the hospital, even though she just had a cesarean for twins, because she wanted to be by those babies. And the bravery and strength it took for her to do that, and the pain that she went through doing that right after having a cesarean, was such a learning experience on how to just ignore fear and be so tenacious and loving, and what she went through for that. And then I saw her stay up and put 3 babies to bed at night and stay up and study so she could get her master's degree, and how she's climbed the career ladder. And I don't think the word glass ceiling even fits in her vocabulary. It doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything to her. She's going to accomplish what she wants to accomplish. And all these things that I've watched for 39 years that my daughter has done with grace and brilliance, all of this went through my mind as I watched her parent that day. And it came very clear to me that not only has she changed something for her son that day, and he came out with binoculars instead of a plastic dinosaur, and he was looking at the world in a whole new way through those binoculars, and so was I. Because I started to think, what do I do? And what do I think? And what do I want out of life? And does all of those things make me a better person? Think about that. If you start using that as a mantra before you buy something, before you do something, before you act in a certain way, before you commit to something, before you complain about something, before words come out of your mouth, if you think in your mind, will this make me a better person? If I do this, if I buy this, if I have this, if I commit to this, will this make me a better person? Wow. That is a life lesson. That is a life lesson that maybe I should write a book about. It's more than just a blog because it's so powerful. If you're like me, I'm always struggling with 10 pounds or maybe 15 pounds that I bounce around with. And so if you're going to, I'm starting to think, oh, do I need that piece of cake? Is that going to make me a better person? Is that going to make me a healthier person? Is that going to make me a happier person? If you start saying those things in your head before you do things, how will that change your world? Will that make you a better person? Will that make me a better person? it was such a gift for me to be able to spend that week with my daughter and 2 of my grandkids last week, and to watch her parent in action. And by the way, parent while she's doing her full-time job, and parent with such brilliance, and teach me life lessons along the way. You know, as parents, we think, we hope, we wish that we teach our kids and we parent in the right way and we teach them life lessons. And when it starts to come full circle and your kids start teaching you life lessons, that is a powerful, glorious thing to see. It's a glorious place to be. I am so very proud of my daughter. And I ended my blog the way I'll end this with you today, that my sweet daughter, having her in my life has made me a better person. And I'm so blessed and so glad that she is with me. And I got to be her mom. She chose me. So that is what I wrote about. If you haven't read it yet, if you don't want to just read it after I told you about it, I just don't know what's wrong. But I always put the link with this FaceTime Live so that you can go back and read it. And please make a comment. I would love to share comments with my daughter about the writing, which is in honor of her. And give me comments about how maybe it fits in your life, what you've got to share with me. And maybe one of your children or someone has taught you a life lesson. I'd love to hear that. So you can read it on my blog. You can share comments. You can put comments below here. You can find me on all social media. And I love to hear from you, even if you want to send me an email directly. You can get my email off my website. This has been Pennie, Heart to Heart. I'm Pennie Hunt. Thanks for watching.